The Meet Me for Coffee podcast is on site this week at the Journal of Commerce Inland Distribution Conference 2025 here in one of my favorite cities, Chicago. I'm excited to have a lot of speakers on the show this week, and we're going to be bringing some great content and hearing a lot of really great insights about what's going on in our industry and the broader supply chain. Thank you everyone for listening in to our next recording of the Meet Me for Coffee podcast. We are recording on site here at the Journal of Commerce Inland Distribution Conference in lovely Chicago. We're being blessed with some amazing fall weather here in Chicago.
Yeah, it's been really nice.
Yeah, I'm joined by Jonathan. Jonathan, thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Would you mind, before we get into some conversation today, introducing yourself and letting everyone know a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm born and raised in France. That's where the accent comes from, for whoever was wondering. I'm an engineer by trade, computer engineer. I've worked at Microsoft, I work at startups, and found myself in the world of freight about 11 years ago when we started Transfix with my co-founder Drew. Been running a brokerage ever since, and in about a year and a half ago, sold that brokerage to become a full tech provider for brokers.
Awesome. There was a lot of news around that, and I was happy to talk to you guys and kind of follow that transition. And so now we get to talk about the wonderful world of freight tech today. So,
can't wait.
Can't wait. Well, you guys get to talk to lots of brokers, and so something that I just would have to ask right out of the gate here is, as you guys are having all these conversations in this unique position of getting to hear from brokers, what's top of mind, what are they focused on, what are some of the things that you are hearing that brokers are kind of thinking about right now, end of year, heading into the new year?
Yeah, RFP season, it's upon us.
Sure.
People are starting to prep, they're starting to think through it. You're hearing a lot of noise online about like market is about to burst and go up, and others are being pessimistic. It's a lot of prep to understand what 2026 is going to bring,
Sure.
And it's going to be very difficult to manage.
Yeah, I heard, I take that, I feel like I've been so pessimistic myself lately, and so this morning we had the panel of economists giving their predictions on, when the rates are going to change, and when one was a little more optimistic than others, and I was like, I just want to root for that guy. Like, I'm just ready for some good news, so let's go with that. But on this more optimistic prediction, he was, kind of saying that we're getting to a point where we've been losing capacity, and he was saying it won't take a large event to start a moderate increase in rates. Like, we just need a little bit of an economic stimulus of sorts.
I fundamentally agree, and I think it's not going to be one event. I also don't believe that it's going to go up overnight as fast as people believe. I think it'll be gradual, and we'll still have seasonality through the year. So you'll get, as much as we want to see that constant increase month over month, you'll see dips. You'll see dips in February. You'll see dips. But as you see dips, you'll also see increases. I do believe we'll get a better, more normalized increase for produce season in the middle of the year.
And so this is the place that you guys are predominantly playing in right now, right?
Yeah.
Is helping brokers make pricing predictions and models?
Yes, and there's a differentiation between understand where the market is going and understand where your cost is going as a broker. We're there to explore and help broker understand their own cost. And there can be a massive delta between the two. You might have a lane, a specific geography that you have cornered, that you buy better than market.
Yeah.
And in those lanes, very often you tend to give way too much of an aggressive price when you're the best out there.
Yeah.
Vice versa, you could be very bad on other geography. So we help broker harness their data and use their historical gold mine of data to predict where the future is going. And it's a little bit less about predicting where the market is going, which is a lot more volatile. Understanding where your cost is going is a lot more scientific. It's a lot more defined. It's a lot more impactful. I can tell you in 6 months, market on a geography is going to be $1,000. If today the market is 500, but you buy $1,000, you're not buying at $1,000 later.
Yeah.
I make it sound very simple. It's obviously quite complicated, but that's what we're here to do. Like, we're here to help the brokers.
I come from a brokerage background, and I've participated in countless RFPs, and inevitably I've heard from pricing like, there's no way they actually have that rate from someone, like that's a paper rate, or that's ridiculous. And I'm like, after working with the carrier side and hearing how some of these carriers are operating and the way their brokers are buying and partnering with them and the efficiencies they're creating, I decided a long time ago to never say never. Like, don't just go paper rate. There is a really big difference in how some companies are buying and pricing out there, and it's not a paper rate. And we have plenty of paper rates in the industry. Don't get me wrong, but I am saying that so many companies have these just different niches or markets or geographies that they service more competitively than others, that for them to go take an industry average blanket rate and use that for their pricing would be doing themselves a disservice.
I couldn't agree more. It's hard to follow this correct of a statement. I think a sentence we used to say quite a bit back when we were a brokerage is, it would be terrible to be the smarter broker without freight.
Yeah.
If you know the market is going up and you're bidding with that understanding that the market is going up, that doesn't mean you're going to win the freight today, because everybody might have an understanding of where it's at today and bidding against that. That's where a lot of the paperweight comes from, where you believe the market's going to go up drastically, and so you're giving a rate for 1 month. And sometimes you have to do this by design because it's the game you play.
Sure. Sometimes
you can be more forward with your shippers and your carriers and set it up properly. And sometimes you have to do both. I think you have to be very, very, in this RFP season, you're going to have to be very flexible and set up a strategy, not by shipper, not by lane, but by shipper by lane. You have to understand what your team is capable of and what they're going to struggle with. You're going to have to make bets, and you're going to have to let some business go.
Don't you think that, historically speaking at least, though, we've not been very good as a brokerage community at articulating the thought process behind the RFP submission, though? It's funny because we talk about all this work that
very
could go
hard
into
to disagree
it,
with you.
and then we don't it never does. That information just stay inside the brokerage instead of getting to the shipper.
And I'm not here to disparage anybody, but TMS are not known to be able to show you this data in ways that is not only accessible but also insightful. Allow you to make a decision with it, allow you to build on top of it. I hear this, I am tired of hearing garbage in, garbage out. I'm just tired of people, if you have bad data, you can't do anything about it. You have to make bad data good. You have to figure it out. That's what we help most broker we work with, understanding their own data, understanding their own weaknesses, and making sense of the quote-unquote garbage. There's no such things. I feel very I might sound very passionate about it.
I think I've been guilty of saying that before in years past.
It's the reality of where you are.
Yeah.
And when you tell somebody your data is too bad, garbage in, garbage out, I can't help you. That's so sad. That's so terrible. But it's not like they're gonna wave a wand and fix it.
Yeah.
This is how their process is. This is how their shipper is. This is how their carriers are. I think it's are. Yeah. Their shippers are and their carriers are. This is how this is their reality. You have to make their data work for them, not as them to do massive amount of work to make the data, to make them work for the data. I think I got this right.
So as we're really getting into kind of the thick of RFP season here it usually goes throughout Q4 and sometimes into Q1. What would your kind of advice be to brokers who are starting to navigate these RFPs, these conversations, return pricing, put effort into, I mean, it's such a heavy lift, like RFP.
The obvious,
yeah.
The obvious one, like, come talk to us. That's too easy. I think if you're not going to ping us, start looking at shippers don't drastically change lanes.
Right.
Like, they don't drastically change networks year over year. Yes, they'll have some changes.
Sure.
But most of it is going to be somewhat the same. And what we found, number one thing, broker wait for the RFP to drop to start working on them, and then shipper goes and say, okay, you had a week to work on it. And now they only have a week to work on it. Get a head start.
Yeah, if you have the files from last year.
You have the file from last year.
Yeah.
Get a head start. If even better, if you didn't win any lane last year, maybe proactively ping the shipper. Like, hey,
sure.
I didn't win anything last year. These are the 5 lanes that I want that I want. Help me out. Like,
well, I think
know your
RFP strategy is like twofold, because when you lose an RFP, you should, as soon as possible, have a follow-up conversation to learn what you need to know for next year. We don't do that enough, but
nobody does. You're right.
I did when I was in brokerage.
So few,
I was the one.
So few. Like, getting that actual feedback is absolutely critical.
And so okay, this is all like a kind of a chicken and the egg thing, because we talked about, when you submit an RFP and you say, hey, here's what went into this, here's my thought process, here's the strategy, and you give quite a bit into that, the shippers feel more inclined to give you something back in the form of feedback, right?
Yes.
Because they saw the amount of work clearly that went into it because of the time you took to express that work. And so then whenever I would do that, sure, I'd be like, hey, we got to get this bid implemented, up and going. When I get my awarded people running, I'm going to circle back and give you feedback. And they would honor that, because they understood the time commitment that I gave to that. So one, yes, get the feedback then, make note of it. And then I always tell people, if try to get a meeting before that bid comes out. If you're waiting till the bid comes out to start asking questions, well, you and everyone else, right?
What are you
you're
doing?
In good company. Everyone's trying to get a meeting then.
Yeah.
So trying to get ahead of that release and have those conversations. I think a really powerful question for brokers to ask a shipper is, where have you seen brokers perform well in your network? Because what I see a lot of times is brokers bidding aggressively on these lanes that they have
no chance.
A massive asset carrier incumbent sitting on. And it's no matter how competitive you may be, they are not displacing that 5-year drop pool with an incumbent with 99% KPIs. And so it's you have to know if you're spinning your wheels, right, or not. So just getting some guidance and direction on, I have seen lanes, thousands of lanes in some of these RFPs. You have to know how to focus in on 10 to 20% of that.
I love that question. I think it's fundamental and great. The other side is you should ask yourself, what lanes are you bad at?
Yeah.
Not all brokers are good everywhere.
Yeah.
That's absolutely not true. Not even the biggest. And so if you have geography you're not good at, why are you spending so much effort bidding on them?
Why are you bidding them at all?
At all. Save your time, save your effort,
literally
save your energy.
Pack it in. I have done RFPs where it was several thousand lanes and I submitted pricing on 130. Why are you bidding something that you're
No. And if you
I promise you someone's going to give a DAT average rate, so if that's your plan for coverage, just move on. So especially as a non-incumbent.
No. The obvious plug here is if you had tools to allow you to build them all at once, like ours, that's one way to go. But if you're doing it manually, the time you're going to spend on the lane you want to win is so much more important than the time you're going to spend on the lane you have no shot at.
Sure, agree.
At all.
What does the time savings look like? If someone's using a tool like Transfix, what is that actual?
We can go from you receive the file from the shippers to you can upload it back in the shipper portal within an hour.
Oh wow.
So we have a first tool that I'm very proud of. And I get very excited about it, even though whenever I tell my wife, who's not in the industry, she's not getting it. It's you can upload the shipper file as is, as an Excel file, poorly formatted, with wrong zip codes in half of the lane. You can upload that, and we will ingest it without any help. We use our own version. I hate to call it ChatGPT because it is not, but we use our own version to allow the translation between the shipper file and what we need to ingest.
Yeah.
So that alone is saving not only time but error
rate. A lot
rate.
of time and errors, yeah.
And
you know how many times you like go to submit a bid and it's like errors on 73% of your lane submissions?
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. No, I have personally been there. Maybe
going
that's
through
why.
one at a time trying to figure out which lanes you messed up.
And then you see Jersey City in New York, and you'll wonder like, what's the problem? And it takes you 10 minutes to figure out there's no Jersey City in New York. That's the problem.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to say it, but we've all probably seen an RFP that comes over, and it's like they gave the city, but they didn't give the state, and it's like, do you know how many
there are 5.
You don't have a zip code. Like I just have a city.
This could be 5 different states.
Yeah, so if you guys can solve for that pretty quickly or make educated guesses, I mean,
so we have a whole UI that allows you to like pick and choose and understand, and you don't have to work in Excel. And then the moment you upload that file, we'll go and process every single lane. And we take on average 2 seconds per lane because it's not magic.
Yeah.
There's a model, there's a lot of math behind it, and it takes time to produce the rate. So like it's on average 2 seconds per lane. Like sometimes we can get it down to 1 depending on the lane. And so if you have 10,000 lane, we'll do 20,000 second and done.
What modes are you guys pricing?
It's all full truckload.
All full truckload.
But it's reefer, drive-in, drive-in, reefer, flatbed, and then every commodity in between. Like I call them commodity in between, even though I know it's not quite right. But live versus drop for any of them, hazmat. You name your poison within those 3 bigger category, and we can handle it.
Absolutely. I think that's another random but important question to ask when you're looking at a bid is like, hey, some of these are really strong intermodal lanes. Are you actually looking to award these to a full truckload provider?
Yeah.
Or what percentage of this volume that you say is on this lane is going to go on a rail?
Yeah, so. I definitely want to work on that very, very soon, or even just the understanding that like, hey, this should be LTL. This doesn't quite make sense on it's 7 drops across country. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, awesome. What's your one piece of overarching advice you would give to brokers right now who are actively heading into their RFP season?
I think it's the one I mentioned earlier. Don't wait for it.
Yeah.
Don't just sit and wait for the shipper to send you that RFP. You have it. It might not be. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
But you have the ability to get a jump start on this season, who is going to be more difficult than any season we've ever seen. So get a head start is absolutely the best advice I could give anybody.
I actually think it would be interesting to compare, like if you started with last year's and then you got the new one and you could do a quick comparison on like what changed. That would almost be like, if they didn't call it out, your salespeople could take that back and be like, hey, what are these?
What happened?
Are these new lanes, new vendors? Like your inbound's changing?
Oh,
and that's I love new things because new typically means no incumbent to displace. Yeah. So that's kind of more that like, hey, open game there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, awesome. Well, last question for you. Is this your first time attending this conference?
It is.
It is.
But I'm enjoying it a lot.
Okay. What are you looking forward to the most, or what are you, what kind of drew you into this one?
I happened to have a panel earlier today.
Okay.
So that was a big
speaking
big
session.
draw.
It's a good reason to be here.
It was a big draw. But I've been fairly impressed with everybody here. Some conference like you are more like set up to be competitive. Yeah. Others are set up to be more carrier facing, more shipper facing. This is a very collaborative environment. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying the conversation I'm having, and I think the networking event later. Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah. I think this is such a comfortable environment for everyone. I actually see shippers. It's funny, they stay the whole time and they're here for everything and they're just walking around. It's like they don't have to be like terrified of this one because everyone is coming in so like focused on productive conversations that everyone gets something out of it. The brokers, the tech providers, the carriers, the shippers. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this has been I am frankly impressed. This has been really fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you made the podcast a part of your time here at the conference. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for meeting us for coffee. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Meet Me for Coffee podcast. We're recording on-site at the Journal of Commerce Inland Distribution Conference this week. If you like this episode, be sure to check out our channels where we'll have multiple others published here this week with content from the show. And in just a couple of weeks, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming, discussing where freight markets and economics meet. I hope you guys can meet us for coffee.